high-performing teams there. I want to make 2 points before I actually get into the topic. First point, we've done a lot of research on this topic, building high-performing teams. And the research methodology is based on understanding the models which are already existing, studying the work done by the thought leaders, and we have created our own value model, which is very much holistic and comprises all the elements which are required to build the high-performing teams. How many of you attended General Lal session? Okay, so the model we discussed, NLP and Grow models, which are not going to cover here. We are going to keep it to the basic, to the team and program level implementations. NLP and Grow models, which Chandan discussed, we typically use for executive coaching and leadership coaching. So here we are going to keep it, we are going to limit the scope to Agile implementation, to Agile teams there. Okay. We have some pictures there in respect to the thought leaders there and the great work done by them. The way they worked is they assessed the teams, they studied the teams, several teams, and tried to understand what components contribute to success, to high-performing teams, basically. And then they built up the model and implemented it. And they all noted the results. And when they found they're very positive and then they're giving the results, they came out in the market and they wrote the books, they published papers, and then they spoke in different conferences there. What we have done is, we have taken the work of all these great leaders and created the recipe, okay, which is like an Indian thali. Right? Each has got rice, it has got roti, it has got veggies, everything in there. So you get vitamins, you get proteins, you get carbohydrates. So you will not fall. Your success rate is going to be very high if you use these models. Right? So now these leaders use one model which has one particular dimension, and they were successful. Now we are going to present multiple models which you can use so that your success rate will increase. We have implemented this in several organizations with several teams and found the teams have reached high-performing stage very quickly. Second point I want to make is we are going to remind you the concepts. Okay, we are not going to instruct you the concepts. We are going to remind you of the concept. End of the day, you might feel these things we already knew, right? But if you go back and implement even some of the techniques here, we will feel we have made bucks, we have made our day, right? It is similar to Swachh Bharat Abhiyan, right? Gandhiji coined the concept, Modi reiterated it, and people are implementing. Last week, when I was in my native Sholapur, I saw a bunch of people walking across the streets carrying brooms in their hand. And then I realized it is so powerful. So now I'm convinced the concepts I'm going to throw here, even if you feel you know them all, they will give some value to you. They should give some value, right? So we are going to keep it very basic and very simple. If anyone wants me to talk about advanced model as well, we will talk about that as well. Okay? If anyone here is in executive coaching, leadership coaching, let us know, we'll cover those aspects as well. Okay? So with that, let me quickly introduce myself. I am Sandeep Yadav. Currently, I am engaged with Amdocs as Enterprise Agile Coach. I'm driving transformation for Amdocs IT. I'm based out of Pune, here in India. I was in Australia for around 15 years there. I've led transformations for several big organizations there, including Telstra, Suncorp Bank, Commonwealth Bank there. I also had the privilege to work with Infosys EdgeVerve. There, I led the transformation for the deliveries arm. Okay, and I had the opportunity to work for several big banks in India there, including SBI, ICICI, Standard Bank, Deutsche Bank, PNB, Bank of Baroda. You want to introduce quickly?
Hello, hi everyone. Hope everyone is awake. Yeah, yeah. I haven't received back hi. So you want to just say it hi back to me? Just hi. Oh, good, good. Yes. So food is good. Yeah, awesome. So hi, I'm Nisha Yadav. So I'm leading a Center of Excellence at HSBC Core Banking with the name tag Agile Cafe. I'm working as a coach also. I also bring several years of experience, global experience. I was in Australia as well with Sandeep, obviously. And I worked in a lot of multinational firms where agile transformation and implementation is my favorite subject, and I have made my hand dirty, actual implementation from the scratch to the successful point. Yeah, so I'll be presenting a couple of slides along with Sandeep. Yeah.
Thank you, Nisha. So what is a high-performing team? Okay. It is a group of people who have complementary skills. When we say complementary skills, it means the group is banking on the strengths of that group. Okay, strengths of that group. And each and every individual has the strengths, and collectively they form the group strength, right? So that group has a very strong passion, very strong strength inbuilt in there. This group is very much goal-oriented. They're driven by vision, mission. There is a very strong sense of collaboration in them. They're constantly innovating, improving, on and on and on. Okay? And most importantly, such groups, such teams, okay, are winning teams. Okay? They're known for winning. They're known for fighting all the odds. They're known for fighting and then coming out with flying colors and success. Okay? In organizations, you will find such teams working on the most complicated projects, dealing with most complicated customers, and they still win, right? Any examples of high-performing teams? Can you give me examples of high-performing teams you have seen? Wake up, guys. Yes. Indian cricket team. Awesome. What else? Yeah? NASA teams. Who said that? Raise your hand. Great. Heat? Oh, yeah. Pit crews. Yes, yes. Tesla teams. Yes. ISRO. Awesome example. Yes. Very live example. Yes. Yes, guys. APGI. Very good example. Right? How about Indian Army striking, doing surgical strike and killing the enemies and coming back without a single casualty there? How about ISRO team launching satellites after satellites? Okay. How about the team which made Bahubali or per se Sholay? It's very good old movies of 70s, but still dialogues are still remembered, right? So what are the characteristics? What do you see differently in these teams? Dedication, yes. Passion, collaboration, one goal, one purpose, yes. What else? Self-motivated, awesome. Teamwork, Great. Running an extra mile with respect to others. Awesome. Yes, you're right. They do some little bit extra. Some teams do a lot of extra. Yeah. There's something special about these teams, right? So now, when we come to agile world, there was a research done to assess the behavior of these teams. Okay, the characteristics of these teams. And what is found is, okay, this work was done by Lisa Adkins, okay, and it is reflected in the book Coaching Agile Teams. Even though I've also seen the same research in Collaboration Explained by Jean Tabaka. Yeah, I've specifically mentioned Lisa Adkins because she has done a lot of hard work on that. These teams are self-organized. Okay? Have you seen self-organized teams? Okay? In my coaching career, when I see any team, okay, doing the things by themselves, irrespective to the roles they are holding, okay, I call that team as a self-organizing team. Okay? I've seen many a times POs, product owners, performing testing. I've seen testers doing development. I've seen developers doing testing, and so on and so forth. Okay? They're so much goal and mission driven that they are not worried about their roles. They simply focus on what they want to achieve. Okay? And that drives them to self-organize. Okay? If any person is on leave or holidays, someone else takes over immediately. Okay? Suppose there are issues, okay, they try to fix it, and if they are not able to fix it, then only they get the help from the leadership team there. So these are the signs of self-organizing teams there. Second point, empowered. Okay, doesn't mean delegation or you are told to do things and then you do it and I'm done. Means you take the ownership, okay, you make the decisions. Okay, agile teams typically, okay, they do their own planning. Okay, no one tells them you plan this much, you take this much of work, etc. Okay, they know how much they can digest, how much they can deliver. They are empowered to take that decision. They do their own estimations together, right? That is that empowerment. When teams are engaged, okay, when they are empowered, they are taking decisions, they're collaborating, they're contributing, okay, they take ownership of their decisions and commitment. Okay? It is a but natural outcome we get when teams are behaving in high performing state. And when you step in the area of such teams, okay, what do you find? There are a lot of debates happening, and you'll many a times you feel they are fighting. Right, the constructive debates, and then they're discussing designs and they're talking about testing strategies, etc. You'll find pre-planning, backlog grooming, and planning sessions of such teams with fierce conversations. What fierce conversations means is they're challenging each other. Okay? There are constructive discussions happening. Constructive, so that they get constructive outcome. There is always divergence. It is not one person rule or the dominant person is ruling all the time. All the team members are contributing in some or the other way. Even if few people are silent, okay, they make 1 or 2 points which are very important, at least. Okay? At least they raise their cards in planning poker and give their estimations and voice their viewpoint if there are any variations there. Okay? So these are the characteristics you should find in agile teams. Okay? Now you know the examples, now you know what characteristics to look for in a typical agile team or in a typical team per se. It can be from any field. Okay. Now, with all this awareness, your next job is to build such teams. Okay. So what do you do to get these characteristics there? How do you build NASA teams? How do you build ISRO teams? There's something in there you have to put in, okay, to build such teams. Now, very simple things. Okay, that is Carl Larson. He has written a great book, Teamwork, after doing research with 6,000 high-performing teams there. Yeah, I can share that. Yeah. Okay, now what he says is, many of us know this already, okay, who are already seasoned agilists, they know these things, but I'm going to reiterate. Okay. When you're forming any teams, it is very important. The very first thing you do is define goal and mission. I've seen many people joining projects, many people joining the teams, and they don't know what they are doing, what they are here for. Only thing they know is, I'm here to develop SQL code. I'm here to develop the front end thing. I'm here as a database administrator, so on and so forth, right? So it is very, very important you are very clear about the goals. Okay, I've seen this very recently. My example, I go and ask team members, what are your goals? He says, my goal is to work on this project, dream team. My goal is to deliver something with high quality and which has a value and the customer likes it. These are not goals, right? So you have to be very, very specific while defining the goals, right? It should flow top down and also bottom up. Every organization has the strategy, right? To achieve that strategy, you have different initiatives, different projects. And for the projects, you obviously create backlogs. And teams work on the backlog. And what they deliver ultimately is the piece of code. So how do you bring in alignment between the piece of code a developer is writing, a tester is testing, and the strategy? Okay. Very simple technique is you have goals defined at every level. Business unit level, program level, team level, etc. Right? So goal setting is very, very important. Whenever you're forming any team, make sure at least you're writing a one-liner which is very specific. Now your next task is to form the team. What are the things you're going to take care of while forming the teams? Make sure you have right people with right intention, right attitude, right skill set. How big should your team? What is the typical size of Agile team? 7 plus minus 2, right? 7 plus minus 2. Why 7 plus minus 2? Because Agile is all based on communication, collaboration, intense relationship between the people. Chandan was saying 60% of the manifesto reflects people thing, right? So it's all people thing. So team size should be 8 so that they are able to establish rapport very quickly. Their communications are strong. Okay, when I say strong communication, Agile teams have osmotic communications. They're working on something, plus they are listening to other people who are working there. If you have big teams, it kills that osmotic communication and becomes noise. Also, other factor you have to consider there is co-located team, which does not come from him. It is the Agile world's creation. You have to be co-located as much as possible, right? And when you form the team, you have people with right skills, you have the proper composition there. It's very important you create the team identity. Okay? How do you feel when you say, I'm from India? Okay? I work for this company, Accenture, or I'm with APGI. How do you feel? You have kind of sense of identity there, right? So it is very important you give Agile names to the team. Should not be like Windows team, Linux team, support team. I've seen weird names there. Okay? It completely kills the team identity there. Come with some good Agile names. I've heard some awesome names like Dynamites, Hash404, Surgical Strikers, Future Stars. So come up with some good, awesome juggernauts, right? So use good names for your team. It should come from the teams actually, so that they own it and they have a sense of identity, right? You see any high-performing team, they have some identity there. Right? So those are the basic guidelines when you form the team. Now that you have formed the teams, you want to ingrain those characteristics, right? Ingrain those characteristics of high-performing there. There's no assurance, there's no guarantee they'll start winning right from day one. So there's the art and science which you have to follow. There are different models we can use to take them to that state. How many of you are coaches here, agile coaches? How many of you are managers? How many of you are team members? Okay, this is for everyone. Bruce Tuckman introduced model way back in 1965. He has written some small note in some journal, and it became so popular. You will find it relevance even today. What he said is, there are different stages the team has to go through to reach the performing stage, right? And there are certain behaviors and interactions and the psychological things which happen in each of these stages with the teams. And if you are good managers or you are good coaches, you exactly tap these behaviors, these opportunities, and help the team to go to the high performing stage. So what are these phases? Okay. Whenever you form any team, you would have experienced that yourself. You know this already. What happens when you form a team? You go, you introduce to them, you tell them, this so-and-so is my name, I have this background, I'm specialized in this, blah, 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 right? So the initial stage is the formation stage. It's a very nice goody-goody stage. Everyone is polite, decent with each other, right? Some people are confused, but that is okay. Right? They don't know whether or not they'll fit in the team or if they can contribute to achieve the goals, etc. So the role of the managers, coaches here is, okay, to define the goals and give clear-cut directions to the team. Okay? Clear-cut directions. These are the goals. This is what we want to achieve. This is how we want to achieve, etc. In the initial phase only. Right? In the initial phase only. Now, you assign work to the teams. Okay? Per se, if they are agile teams, they get into the sprint. Very first sprint, right? What happens? They get into the storming phase. Initially, when they attend the trainings, okay, they are very excited, they are very happy, they are going to be empowered, etc. Right? Now, when the rubber hits the road, there is a fire there, obviously. What happens? I've seen product owners coming, rushing to me and complaining. In the old world, I used to work for 1 or 2 weeks only, create this requirements document, dump it to the team, doing knowledge transfer, and that's it. And the team used to deliver it to the customers. But now, I have to create this backlog. I have to talk to the customer. I have to do the research. I have to attend trade shows. I have to do workshops. Plus, I have to create something to which I'm not familiar. Now I have to create requirements in form of features, epic, stories, whatever form, right? And then they have to be with the team all the time to address their queries, concerns. They have to perform the demo, get the feedback from the customers. And while they are doing this, they also have to work on the future sprints backlog. So they get extremely overloaded. And obviously, fire comes out. They get into storming phase. What happens to managers? Okay. Now teams start estimating. They start taking the call. Okay. This is when I can deliver. This is how much I can take. They're not going to work over the weekends. They're not going to work late nights. It's a team's decision now. Managers feel left out. That is where they start complaining, okay, and becoming anxious. Testers. What happens with testers? Okay. They get the work. Many teams do bad scrum in the initial sprints. So testers get the work towards the end of the sprint. Right? They get extremely overloaded in the last 2 days. They somehow manage to survive the sprint. Next sprint they go. Again the same thing happens. Last 2-3 days they have to work hard. Plus they have to work on the stories impacted in the current sprint. Okay, they have to do the work for sprint 1 and sprint 2 again. So their work explodes if there is no automation. Initially, many teams don't go with automation. So there's a lot of conflict, there's a lot of confusion, there's a lot of ambiguity which happens in this phase. And this is the worst phase in any team development. This is where coaches, managers have to be very cautious. Okay. Many teams fail in this phase. There are a lot of conflicts. People come to you saying, this guy comes late, leaves early, Okay? I'm working late, I'm not getting credit. Okay? He remains absent all the time. Those type of things happen. So how do coaches and managers deal with this phase? What do you do in this phase? You know, many managers, many leaders write off agile transformation for the team when these things start happening. I've seen that. And you have to tell them this is normal. Please stay back. You have to do some hard work to get the teams out of that. And what do they have to do? Very simple thing. Yes, sir. Of course, that is one way, right? Over and above that, these are here we are talking about people issues, right? Daily stand-up is like all the team comes together on daily basis. They see we have planned this on whatever planning day. Today, is my plan running okay? Am I tracking well towards the goal? And they change the plan. Okay? That is the main purpose of stand-up. Now here, there is a confusion. People don't want to work. They feel left out. They're emotionally burdened. So how do you deal with this situation? The work life has changed. Some people have to work extremely hard. Some people have to work less, etc. So those things, complaints start coming. Yes, please. Yes, that we do in the next phase actually. Here what we do is, we have several roundtables with the leaders, ensure we are listening to them. Okay, every query, every concern, every problems should get addressed. Okay, if you don't hear, if you don't listen to the people, it strikes back. People start leaving, your process starts failing, your customer starts complaining, it becomes even worse. So it's very important you hear to them and focus on process there. Okay? Ensure you're defining and redefining your process. Ensure you're defining roles and responsibilities clearly. Okay? Many confusions happen because of this. They're not clear about roles and responsibilities. They're not clear about what the processes are. Testers don't know. In the old world, I used to do this. Now, when should I test? Wait for towards the end of the sprint, or do the testing as soon as the story is there, completed, etc. There's a lot of confusion there. So make sure you're clearly defining the process overall. Okay? That will help the teams to get to the next stage. If you are running transformation for the brand new team, typically it takes around 3 to 4 sprints for the teams to settle with the storming. Okay? They start getting into norming and performing stage after sprint 6 and sprint 7 onwards there. Okay, the next stage is norming. That is where people start accepting the leadership, they understand the process, and you see the behaviors like they're asking for help, they're appreciating, they're challenging each other, so on and so forth. Right? This is where the leaders and managers should step back and allow the teams to take the control. Okay? That will enable the team to get to the last stage, that is high performing stage. If managers don't step out, leaders don't step out of this stage, teams permanently remain in norming stage. And there are 80% of the teams, unfortunately, which sit between storming and norming many times. It's only because the leadership is not able to manage the performing stage rightly. Okay? You feel loss of control, you feel teams are doing anything, you'll feel you're losing the job, but that is not the case. Believe me, that is normal thing. Allow the teams to perform, delegate your things. Don't worry, if teams are winning, you are winning. Okay? Now, you know how to take the teams to the performing stage. There are certain traits which teams exhibit, and you have to be very cautious about. As soon as you see those behaviors, right, you have to pull the plugs and start taking actions. So Nisha is going to talk about those stages there.
So I would like to add one more point in storming phase actually. So Sandeep has covered. So every time new team members joins your team goes back to your storming phase again, every time. So this is a very important thing manager has to keep into their mind. So you have settled your team, you did your process right, you have defined each and everything, you know that it's in high performing. The moment one more person joins into team goes back to storming. Why? Want to put your viewpoint? Why? Yeah. So everybody like to know what will be the impact. What will if this person gonna take my role? Or what is his roles and responsibility? How she will behave with me? How it will impacting to me? If she's gonna cooperate with me or not? Or it's not 100% that intensity is not there. Maybe what in the initial, but yes, there is a certain degree of intensity probability that team goes back to storming phase. So that's a point you need to keep in your mind. So yeah, so we have, like Sandeep presented already, what are the essences, what are the characteristics you need for the high performing. So if you don't have, if you as a leader or as a manager, if you don't have these traits in your mind, that this gonna ruin your whole thing. These traits gonna make the team fail. It sounds basics, but it's really, really important. It should be in your head, top of the mind all the time while you are doing. These are the dysfunction of a team. So it's Pat actually given a really, really good overview in his book, but I would like to reiterate here, remind you here. So absence of trust, fear of conflict, lack of commitment, avoidance of accountability, and inattention to results. You will find mix of these traits every team, some or the others. Not in all the personalities, but you'll definitely find one or the two people with there. It's maybe because of upbringing or past experience. So you, as a leader, agile leader, you have to have keeping in mind, even you are a team member, you have to, you make sure if certain people are not behaving the way they should supposed to be, you should keep these traits in the mind. So absence of trust, which forms actually the basis of this triangle. So a lot of success, if you address this dysfunction, a lot of successes depend on this. So it sounds really, absence of trust, you guys gonna say it's very simple. What you gonna tell me here? So I'm not talking about the trust, like you go to coffee, you know this guy, this girl, or you know your team member from 3 years, 2 years, and you go get along very well, you're working together, you know the predictable behavior of that person. You know he or she gonna, she gonna say in the meeting along with you in front of your boss. Not that kind of trust. I'm talking about the trust which is human level, human emotional connection level, where you and your team members are open to accept, willing to open to accept your mistakes. You guys gonna get vulnerable. You're gonna say, hey, I don't know this. Are you able to teach me this? I made this mistake. I'm not able to do this deployment because of so and so reason. You are smarter than me. Are you able to teach me this? So that kind of emotional connect I'm talking here. So that's absence of trust. If it is not there when you are in a forming phase, as a manager, leader, or a team member, you have to create that. You need to have that trust where you can be vulnerable to each other, you can be open to each other, you can share the ideas openly, even you know they're not going to like it. So I'll give you an example how it reflects to the team level. So the new team is formed, the product owner is actually a product owner is very excited. It happens last week with me only. So she has set up an international bridge because all the consumer from different countries going to attend that. 3 4 features very, very important for the success, banking successes. She's going to represent that there. And when actually demo starts, she's not able to demonstrate all of them. She just demonstrated one feature. And somebody quietly told her that 3 defects still not get fixed, so we cannot demonstrate that. Ooh, big kaboom. Why this has happened? So apparently one of the developer, he's new in the team, he is not opened up to the team that he haven't fixed that defect. If you would have opened and if you have shared that to the team that these defects are not yet fixed, we are not ready for demo, the situation is completely different. The team might have helped him out there and then and there itself. So PO lost the trust, consumer lost the trust, whole team is in big failure. So that's how absence of trust is actually puts your team down. So even one team member is not in that whole scenario, is not following that whole scenario, it reflects, it spread like a disease. So it's very important as a base of the triangle, and it drives pretty much everything towards the top. So once you establish that trust, once you know you are vulnerable to each other, open to each other, you are ready for the next level, which is you can openly share your conflicts, you can openly share your viewpoint. So the environment, you have to create as an environment, a conducive environment where actually team members can conflict in a harmonious way. You have conflicts at your home, right? You have conflicts, your family, friends, you have conflicts, culture to culture conflicts. So if you are not doing that in a team level, like one or two team members as a dominant personality in the team is actually, whenever they enters into the team, they just talk and other people just passively listen. And it's a practical situation happens. Even in, we doesn't matter how much we say we are agile, we are open, we are sharing this, but it's practical situation in every team is happening that one or two dominant person drives the estimation and then the whole team just passively says, yes, yes, just nodding head, not giving. And when execution comes, hey, that's not my idea, it was your idea, you estimated it. And the full sprint goes down. Even the good example is like leadership teams walks into the room. I have seen this. I have recently seen this. Leadership team walks into the room, present a new team structure to the team. Not one team, multiple teams sitting in a big room like this and giving the leadership lecture, blah, 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 and big team structure rolled out. Nobody challenges there, nobody. Have you challenged? Anybody challenges there? Give me an example, anybody has challenges. Even leadership is presenting structure. I'm sure nobody has challenged in this room. And then what happens? After 6 months, you get one more team structure. Why? Because the first team structure doesn't work. Why it hasn't worked? Nobody challenged, nobody has given their idea or point of view. Hey guys, you put this here, you have given, make this product management group without actually sitting a real product manager. You are sharing 2 or 3 product owners across multiple teams, which is not going to work. You have given a 2 to 3 scrum teams, 1 scrum master. It's not going to work, but nobody challenges. So that kind of commitment is not coming from you as a team, right? When leadership or even in a team, you are putting your viewpoint there and saying that I'm disagree to this in a harmonious way. I'm not saying in a bad way. Bad way is when the politics come into the picture. In a harmonious way, when you say, I'm disagree, why so and so. So team member knows that I'm heard. I'm not humored, I'm heard. And I have say here, then you know that you're buying them from the decision. Real commitment come when they know that their viewpoint is as important as someone else's viewpoint. They have saying, their decision actually weighs. If they're not fearful to put their viewpoint there, then you can ask them for a commitment, real commitment. Just nodding head and saying goody goody is not actually works. So everybody should have that freedom to present. So lack of commitment, what I'm talking here right now, which comes if you have a healthy, conducive environment for the harmonious conflict. That derives that you can openly share your viewpoint, you can put your commitment, real commitment. It's not like when problems come, say, it's your idea, I was not there, I haven't committed on that. So lack of commitment is actually derives when you don't have a conflicts there. Fear of conflicts is there. If I'm open my mouth, this will happen, that will happen. And next come avoidance of accountability. Yeah. Which is again same, like it flows from the bottom to top. So you are not trusting each other, you are not giving your viewpoint, then you are not committing actually when you're, and obviously you are not hold for the accountable. So you goes back and asking that developer, hey, why don't you tell us in the beginning itself there is a defect? He said, nobody asked me. I was in the meeting, nobody asked me, and I'm a new here, so I was fearful. I'm not given a chance to talk about it. So you cannot hold that poor developer for accountable. You haven't set that environment there. So this dysfunctions, you have to keep always eye open for that. And obviously the results, you know that. There is no attention to the results, considering all of this goes wrong. Yeah.
There is a very stark similarity in the way you should be acting. Very simple thing is when you define the goals. Okay, it is obviously you are making your team accountable for that goals, right? The team is not accountable. Okay? They will not be worried about the repercussions, the results. So hold them accountable. As soon as you define the goals, hold them accountable. When they're accountable, commitment will come by themselves and they will start contributing, right? And to bring in this commitment, they'll obviously will have to be very much participating. They have to contribute. They'll start challenging. They'll not take anyone doing anything, right? So, and then that will trigger the trust. So all these factors are interrelated. All in all, if you find any of these traits in your team, people not paying attention to the results, people not accountable, people not committed, people not trusting each other, people not conflicting, having healthy conversation, constructive debates, beware. They're dangerous traits.
Thanks. Yeah, go for it. Yeah. So how about I take the questions at the end? I need to finish. Yeah. At the end, we'll take the question. Thank you. So the next slides talk about the motivation. I'm sure in this room, everybody's aware about intrinsic motivation and extrinsic motivations. So there is a big mismatch, or apparently there is a very big gap. We have been so much, we did a research in different area, and the human aspect, everybody now suddenly started talking. The science, what science is saying about the motivation and what currently businesses, in fact, 99% businesses are doing with their knowledge workers is not match. It's big mismatch. Even everybody knows this. To reiterating, they have been trying to put this in HR and all this thing. So intrinsic motivation, you know that carrot and stick theory. If you do this, if you perform this, you will get this rewards, you will get promotion, this. Yeah, money up to certain extent works. But if you want really to perform or achieve the goal or get their full potential out, so you need to have these three things in a mind: autonomy, mastery, and purpose. So autonomy. So it's a great example, which is one of the Australian company Atlassian. They give 24 hours to their knowledge workers to go and do whatever they want to do. And surprisingly, it gives the best result. They actually fix the complete defects, whatever the pending defects so far. The new versions get deployed. Gmail, how the Gmail came into the picture. It's actually Google has given a 20% capacity to their developers that do your innovation. SAFe also talks one sprint, specifically one sprint for the innovation and planning. Given that capacity, 20% capacity, you do direct your life. You go and do it, whatever you want. That's how Gmail came out. So that's autonomy. And then mastery. Mastery, open source is a great example, where people want to learn constantly. They want to master. I want to master my Java skill. I want to master and do next level whatever I'm doing. I have done this. I need to excel in this area. So that is also the one of the key driver to the knowledge workers. And then purpose. You know, everybody has some purpose that this is what I have to achieve this. I need to have this in my list. So these are the key motivations is actually very, very, yeah, these are the key factors actually. It's very, very important for any high-performing team. In fact, it's for all the knowledge workers to drive them, to get the creativity out of them. It's very important. Yeah, so just to, before I go on the next slide, because we are already run out of the time, and I have been got a couple of timeout indications. So high-performing team is a team who works in synergies, continuously improves, empowers to change things, and who delivers the astonishing business outcomes. Plus, if we fill that gap, or if we repair the gap between what science says and what actually business is doing currently, we can change the world together. We can actually address the ground level problem before we go to the any different different level of psychology or researching or doing next level of planning for the team. These are the basic fundamental things we really need to address to make a team as a high performing.
So it's art and science. There are different models available. It takes blood, sweat, and tears to get the teams to that level. It's not easy. Now that you know the models, now that you know the traits, I'm sure you have a takeaway, and see if you can implement some of the models, some of the techniques there to help your team get to the high performing stage. Open for questions now. Yes, sir. We need to add all the mic.
Yeah, the question here is, first of all, thank you for explaining like how to achieve high performance teams. Okay, your things were very cleared out in a graphical way. My query here is, when we have a team and when you rightly said at the first point, define the goals. That was the first point to get the team and the individual involved to achieve the goals. When I say goals, there are two types of goals. One is a resource goal, which is an individual goal, which every individual have to achieve. Second is a team goal. As a team, they have to achieve. Resource goal will be achieved by the resource so as his appraisals goes through, right? But as a team, when I say as a team, and which is a cascaded goal, which has to be done by the intra teams so as the end deliverables gets delivered on the specific time and with quality of service. Okay, so how to come up with that? That is a big question which is been faced. No, my question is, I'll give an example. Okay, I'm not talking about agile, I'm talking about infra. Okay, in an infra team, from basic L1 to L3 to the SME, okay, and we have a project. We have an application which is being worked upon and which is being used globally. That is the infra, okay. When I say an application, it has an infra. Monitoring team is monitoring that application. If anything happens for that application, the monitoring team checks it out. Monitoring team will check whether the CPU is high, memory is high, and so on, and drive that to the next team, right? And same thing happens on. Now they are doing the individual efforts, right? Now as an application, there should be an upgrade on that application. So suppose there are alerts which are coming, which has to be avoided by adding some infra on that application. Okay, that is a high level which I wanted to highlight. Okay, so that has to come right from the L1 team until the SME, but it has to be identified by the L1 team first, then it has to be analyzed by the L2 team, L3 team, and the SME has to take the decision so that whether the infra has to be increased or not, right? So that becomes a tactical approach on a project perspective, and on an individual perspective, these people are doing their work, but the problem is not getting restored. The problem is still existing. They are doing some activities and they are working on. So that's an example, but on a part of an agile team bonding, how do we map this with the resources and ensure that these problematic statements get resolved? That is the question.
Okay, I mean, like, can we summarize this in 2 minutes, or I mean, like, if it is going to take more time, probably we can discuss it later on. Yeah, okay.
This is more of an alignment related issue. Okay, you need to bring in alignment across the teams. Okay? It's not a goal. Every team has a goals there. How do we bring in alignment? X team is having problems which is impacting Y team. Right? How do you align? Okay, for that I'll give you answer in agile terms. You need to have a common backlog. Okay, top down. Okay, right from business unit, portfolio level, program level, team level. There needs to be alignment there. Okay? Just a quick answer. It's an alignment related issue, not the goals related issue. Right? So how do you bring in alignment? There are different models, different frameworks which can be used to solve this problem. Okay?